In today's demo, we are going to talk about some of the overall features of the Steltronic Focus system, just a brief tutorial on all of the items on the screen and what these items do. On this left-hand side of the screen, we call all of these items, we call them plugins or options, whatever you choose. You can turn those on or off by selecting this button here called Taskbar. So if you don't want to see the plugins, you can remove that and you can get some more real estate for showing some more lanes on your screen. If that taskbar is hidden, you can always get to it from this button right here, this drop-down list. So if I need to get to the point of sale, I can click here and I'm taken to the point of sale. So that's your taskbar, on or off. Some of the other features that you will find in the system are all of the plugins can be added or removed to each terminal in your building. So if you don't want the lanes to be shown in the bar, you can remove this plugin. So each one of these plugins is configurable and can be customized per terminal in your building. The Lanes Manager button allows you to monitor all of your lanes and do things with the bowling lanes. The point of sale is where you can make sales from your bar items, your snack bar items, your pro shop items, whatever you need to sell besides bowling can be sold through the point of sale screens. The reservations plugin here is used for making advanced reservations for birthday parties in the future, such things as you could have all of your leagues displayed on this screen. So the idea behind your advanced reservations is to show you graphically all of the parties that are coming in and all of your lanes that are coming in so that somebody doesn't overbook the lanes. This plugin here is your Tournament Manager. It's used for sending out tournaments and leagues. The Tournament Manager program is interfaced with CDE and the BLS software. So you can click on Import Leagues here, and once they've finished bowling, you can click on the Export button and send the scores back to the BLS program. This button here is a time clock manager. It allows the employees to clock in and clock out using their fingerprint or using the magnetic card that they were issued. The employees cannot clock in using the keyboard. They must use a finger or a magnetic card. The configuration button here, plug-in, is for configuring your whole entire center. So this center tab is where we modify all of the different terminals in the building. We can change the address, how we're going to collect tax, how the tax is calculated. We can look here at our database and we can make sure that we're backing up all of our databases. We're collecting 3 backups once a day at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then this down here will purge out some of the older information in your system so that the database does not grow to something that you don't want to keep for that many of years. So down here in this old data deletion, you can keep 1 year, or you can select how much data you want to keep in the database. This tab right here allows you to set up holidays. All the items here in green are the holidays throughout the year, and the idea behind that is so that you can sell bowling at different prices on holidays. This screen over here allows you to configure your opening and closing times for each day of the week. You may want to change these opening and closing times. For example, on Tuesday we have 8 a.m. until 3 o'clock in the morning. This feature here is used on your booking, your reservations screen. So if you want to limit this down to the times of day that you can do reservations, you can actually say that on Tuesday we're only open from 2 p.m. until 9 p.m. and that would limit the ability to not make a reservation outside of those time zones. This little tab right here allows us to set up all the devices in the building. Devices are receipt printers, fingerprint readers, cash displays, cash drawers, card readers. We also have a pouring system that we're interfaced with Berg liquor controls so that no alcohol can be poured unless it's using the Berg interface system. The ATG PC tab stands for Automatic Time Game Power Control, and this tab here allows us to configure all of the items that are hooked up to Focus. For example, you may want to hook up this electrical set of relays to turn on pool table lights so that when you sell actual timed games, which is down here, if I was to click on a timed game of a pool table, if I was to sell pool table number 1, which I just did right now, then the pool table light would turn on automatically. When the pool table is turned off, then the pool table light above the pool table would be turned off. So back to our configuration manager. The network test is for our technicians to make sure that the network is working well for every one of your pairs of lanes. The lockers tab is where you can configure all of your lockers. The cash register is where you can determine how the cash register will react for each terminal in your building, whether or not you want a receipt, and you can customize the text on the bottom of the receipt. Okay. Gift cards, this is where you set up all of your gift cards and the days of the week that they're able to be used, so that when you sell gift cards it's a lot faster because the templates are already created in advance. Your tournament tab is set up so that you can set up the different amount of time that your lanes will transfer. So for example, some tournaments you bowl on lane 1 and 2 for game 1, and then you move over to lanes 5 and 6 for game number 2. The point of sale tab here is where you can configure all of the point of sale items on in your system. So it's very easy to move things around, just drag and drop. Under your timed games, this is where you can set up all the timed games in your building. Timed games are something that is outside of bowling, maybe billiards and darts and miniature golf, whatever you'd like to sell by the hour other than bowling. The booking tab here allows you to kind of put a demand on the employees that are making an advanced reservation. So if I check this box here, it means that a credit card will be required before I can save the reservation. So any item that's checked in this section must be filled out by the cashier in order to save the reservation. Your advertising management program allows you to modify the graphics that are out on the lanes, on the overhead monitors above your lanes. Or if you had lower monitors, they'd be on the lower monitors. The Lanes tab allows you to make configuration changes to your the lanes and how they're actually sold. So if we have this box here called prepaid, it means anytime I open up a lane, the lane will be sold as a prepaid lane. And if this one is not checked, it means that the cashier could change it to postpaid. But if you always do prepaid and you never want the cashier to sell the lane in postpaid bowling, and you always sell lanes as prepaid, you would check this box here for no changes. And as you'll notice over here, you can change all of the settings per terminal. So you could say that Terminal 1 at the front desk is not allowed to ever change the prepaid status. So it's very easily configurable per terminal in your building. The Pin Setters tab is really for the technicians if we had to change some parameters because you had some special pin setters or special settings, we can change these numbers. So we ask you to stay out of this section. Changing these numbers will certainly change how your pin setters will react with the automatic scoring. So again, this is for technicians only. We ask you to stay away. The other plug-in over here are your data reports, and the data reports allow you to get the report for a specific date range. So if I said I want to know how much September 1 through September 29th, and I hit print over here, I would get a report from the 1st through the 29th. And I can say at what hours of the day should this report start. So September 1st at 7 a.m., show me everything after 7 a.m. on September 1st up until September 29th until 7 a.m. in the next morning. Okay, there are different reports over here, and you can, we will talk about those later, but you select these different reports and it gives you a report based on these settings here. Under your membership plugin, this allows you to add members to your database. You can collect all their information, such as their home address, work address, the spouse information, in case you want to send them an email or maybe a birthday card or something of that sort. We can say what kind of bowler they are. We can set up specific discounts on their card. We can give them a card and say when the card will expire. We can assign them a fingerprint so that your membership bowlers don't have to bring in a card. They can always put their finger on the fingerprint reader. And this is how we assign this is basically showing me what locker is assigned to this person. So we have a membership program, very useful for giving discounts and free games and stuff like that. On our waiting list plugin, this is designed so that you can add some players into a waiting list. So you can give them a number here. Well, this is the next number in line. We can assign them a pager so that if they had a pager number, we would know which one to page using the paging system. How many players, and it just allows us to place a group of customers onto a waiting list. This is our timed games plugin. We can certainly sell pool tables. We can sell miniature golf. We can sell a golf simulator room, internet station for people to use the internet. And this plugin here is for products and rates. This is where we set up all of the pricing and the pictures and the times of day that the pricing is available. Clicking here, I can see that certain days of the week. It's very flexible in the way of setting up special pricing for special times of the day. So this is where you set up all of your products, all of your hamburgers and rental shoes and rosin bags. Whatever you sell in the bowling center has to be set up here in the products and rates. The cash register button here allows us to see payments that have not been closed. We're going to collect the money later. Some pre-bills, which we've explained in another area of the system. We can go back and see a history of all of the receipts so that if a receipt was lost or we need to get another printout, we can do that. We can say, show me last month's receipts or show me all the receipts. So this list here can grow as long as you'd like to keep information so that you can always get a printout and print it out a second time, or maybe you just need it for accounting purposes. These are all of the items that were voided in the system, and we can just highlight one and click on the details, and it'll give us the information of what was wrong with that particular transaction. On our QuickBooks Exporting tab here, this allows you to export all of the information from the Steltronic system into QuickBooks. So all of these settings down here are to make sure that the data that you want flows correctly into QuickBooks. If we were going to sell lockers, the lockers tab here will show me all of the lockers that are rented. The green one here, this is locker number 21. It's going to expire in September of next year. This one is yellow because they're getting ready to expire. They're getting very close to expiring. And this one here is in red because it has already expired in August of 2011. So this demo, I'm sorry, it was expiring in August of 2010. This button down here doesn't fit on the tab because we have so many showing, so it's kind of a lower button that's just not visible. And this is where you actually sell gift cards, and you can manage gift cards, and you can actually see how much a card is, how much a gift card has on it. So these are all of the plugins that you can use throughout the day of using Focus. If I go back to my lanes, I will show you some other icons across the top of the screen. This button here shows me any lane that is any lane or any point of sale item that is sitting on what we call a suspended operation. It just means that we're working on another lane and it was never really closed down. So for example, I could click here on lane number 1, and if I was to get out of that screen, we can see here that lane 1 is still in use. Lane 1 is locked, but if I was on the point of sale screen, I can also go up here to this suspended operations and go automatically back to something that wasn't currently closed. It was left in a open state. So if I want to go back to lane control number 1, I'm back to where I left off. The close active window button here will close down the current window that you're working on. Okay? Going back to our lanes here, another button here, this number 1 shows me all the players' information. Number 2 shows me a little bit more information, so you can see that the information on the screen changes a little bit to show handicap and shoes and socks and all different types of pin tap and prepaid. All that information can't fit on one screen, so we have it split on 2 different tabs. If the bowlers had some scores, the sheet here, the screen here would show you all of their scores. That's how you do score corrections. You can actually go to the settings of that pair of lanes, some changes. And if a lane was currently already running, you could click on this payment screen so that you could see how much money is owed to you. This is the control settings that just popped up for lane 1 and 2. And if I look at the money that is due on lane 1, or actually we're on lane number 2, there is no money really due right now because the lane hasn't been sold. But that's what this is for. If you sold a lane in post-paid mode, this would show me how much money they currently owe you as of this immediate time or whatever frame that they're in. So if I hit close window, I'm taken back to the other screens. Now this one here is it's a nice feature because it allows you to select all of the lanes in your bowling center to make a global change. Okay, so for example, let's get out of this screen. If I choose lane 1 here and choose lane 3, and then I choose this button, and then I choose pin setters, it is only going to select lanes 1 and 3. So here, lanes 1 and 3 were selected, and I can make some changes down on this screen. If I didn't select any lanes at all by using these checkboxes here, selecting lanes 1 and 2, if there were no lanes selected and I choose this button up here and I go to the pin setters, for example, it'll select all 4 lanes. So it's kind of a global way. Maybe I want to change all of the scrolling text for all of the lanes, so I could choose this overhead monitors button, and I will choose lanes 1 through 4 and make a scrolling text. And now I've got a scrolling text across lanes 1 through 4. So it's a kind of a global way to make changes across the whole entire center without having to select the individual lanes over here. This star button here allows you to configure each one of these lane pairs. So right now I'm showing the pin setters, the black lights, the overhead monitors, the lanes, the pair settings, the foul lights, and the bowler consoles. So if I didn't want the bowler consoles to be shown, I can take off the bowler consoles. I get a kind of a quick view of what the lane icon is going to look like, and I click on OK. And the idea behind this is if you trim down the information shown for each pair of lanes, you can start to see more lanes on one screen. So it's up to you on how you want to configure that screen setup. This button here allows you to select different lanes. You can say select lanes from and to. So I could say from lane 1 through lane 12. You could do that. I could select all the lanes. Remember, this select all can be done up here if no lanes were selected in the first setup. you can clear all these settings and then just hit cancel to get out of this screen. These were the last 5 items that you selected. So if I select lanes 1, 2, 4, and 5, I could choose this one here again, and it will select 1, 2, 4, and 5. And this button here is your quick open lane button. If I open up a lane right now, I'm presented with a screen that allows me to add players conventionally. I can make modifications. I can change the number of games. I can change prepaid. I can change the pin tap. I can change all of that information. However, if you wanted to have the quick open command turned on, right now the button is not orange, only because I move over it. Now if I click on it once, and now it is selected, it's always orange. Now when I open up a lane, it presents me with just how many players, how many shoes, and open the lane. And because it was prepaid, it's asking me now how much money are they going to pay for. So some bowling centers are in a post-paid environment, and using the quick open, it would just say how many players, how many shoes. You click OK, and they're off and bowling. Now this button here is a very useful button. It's what we call our history, and the history allows us to see all the different games that have been bowled on a certain time frame. So let's go back to the 15th and refresh our screen, and this window here is going to populate with all of the scores that have been bowled from the 15th to the 21st. And it looks to me like we have not had very much bowling in the last month in our demo room. So as we can see here on September 8th, 5:30 in the afternoon, we had some players that were bowling, so we can actually go back and get their scores from a previous date. Okay. The one really nice feature about this preview of all the lanes are you have the ability to restore a lane back to the way that it was. So lane 3 was closed back on September 8th. Today happens to be the 21st of my demo. So if I wanted to bring back lane number 3, I just click here on lane number 3. It turned orange, and then now these 2 buttons have lit up so that I can restore lane 3 back to lane number 3, or I can restore lane 3 back to possibly lane number 1. So I can bring back lane 3, all their scores, everything, put them back on lane number 1 so they can continue on where they left off. Feature that you could use this for is we've had, by accident, somebody may have closed down the wrong lane, and if you've closed the lane down and they had some games remaining, you just use this screen here to bring back the scores and bring back everything to where they were just before you made the close lane command. This button here shows me all of the reservations that are coming in. If I clicked on all bookings, it would show me all of the bookings that were ever done on our system, but if you turn that off, it's showing me all the bookings that are coming in today. This is our waiting list, all the different current waiting lists that we have on the lanes. And this button here shows me any lane that has been parked. So if I had a lane that was opened, there'd be a little P right here. Because you've opened the lane, you close the lane down. Actually, you didn't close them, but you opened the lane and then you parked them because they're going to go have some food in the snack bar. They said they're going to come back and finish off after they're done in the snack bar. This icon here is for awards management. It shows you all of the items that were won during some games that were being played. So this person here got a free game pass. The player's name was Player 1, and they were playing the Lucky Strike game. So it allows you to print these little awards onto your receipt printer. And again, this is just a global version of the features of Focus. Of course, each one of these items we can go into detail later. This button here allows me to turn it into full screen. And if I turn it on to full screen, if you look over here in the right-hand corner, you don't see the normal windows of minimize, maximize, and close window of what we're used to in Windows. Okay, This button here is called Emergency Shutdown, and its function is if you had a lane machine that was running down the lane and you just turned on lane number 1 and the lane machine's headed down the lane, you could hit this button here and it will simply give you a warning, and we say Emergency Shutdown. If we say yes, take a look here at the status of the pin setters. They're on auto. If I say yes, then all of your pin setters turn off. So the feature of this emergency shutdown button is only turning off the pin setters. So if you had a child running down the lane to get his bowling ball and he was going to get hurt by the pin setter, you could turn off the pin setters. The whole entire center, it just turns off the machines. The monitors stay running. Nothing else is to be worried about. It just physically turns off the pin setters because of some kind of a problem, maybe a lame machine or a child. And this button here opens up the cache drawer of the current terminal that you're working on, and provided that you have the permissions to open the cache drawer. This button over here is the keys. Currently the owner is signed on. If I click on the key and I click on disconnect, currently there is nobody signed on and the system is locked. It says anonymous and nobody can do anything to the system. If I click on the key and I click on a person of interest that we want to use, Jim Osdale here is going to use the system, and I think my password is completely empty right now, so I click log in. Okay, so I am signed on because I don't have any password, but maybe I want to change my password. Let's click here on my key. I'm already signed on. If I say change password, I had nothing for the old password. My new password is, do it 2 times, click on OK, and now the password has been changed. Now I'm going to disconnect. Currently there's nobody signed on. If I click on the keys and then click on myself and type in my new password, I've actually logged into the system and now I can use the system. Okay? This button here allows you to modify some of the users that are in the system. And if I click exit, I can exit the system. If I'm all done here, I can click on OK and it will take me out of this screen. But a quick tour of this user accounts, we can look at all of these different employees, and we can say that Dave Vasquez, he's an administrator. These are all the things that he can and cannot do. He's been assigned a magnetic card. He's not been assigned a fingerprint yet, and this hierarchical security is what is set up for this individual, different levels of hierarchy in the system for security. So you can be an administrator, and you can have several administrators in your system, and the administrators can do everything, but possibly you want to set up some other people that are not administrators. You want to set them up as a manager. So if we look here under roles, we can say that you're an office employee, but sometimes you want one office employee to do something that the other office employee could not do. So this is your users and security system. Click on OK, and that is pretty much a summary of all the different things you can do with the Focus system. These buttons over here allow us to look at different icons, because I have an 80-lane demo in our demo room. All of these icons are gray because the lane computers don't exist, or they're disconnected or unplugged on our system. So right now I can look at lanes 1 through 32, and I can see that lanes 1 through 4 are available. Just remember, if I was to trim this down and not look at some of the different settings, I want to look at just lanes and pin setters. I'm only showing 32 lanes here. If I click on OK, I'm going to now see 64 lanes on one screen because these icons have been trimmed down on the information that I want to show. Now, something that's very configurable, very nice in the system, is I've got a tab here called Lanes Manager, and I've configured these icons to look very small because I'm just showing lanes and the pin setters. I could have another button over here called Lanes Manager, and I could have it configured to show all of the items that are necessary for managing your whole entire Bulletin Center. So it's very configurable. We can set up different things in different parts of the screens. It's user-friendly. And for now, that concludes our little world tour of Focus.